I'm Jenni Trumpa.
And I'm Toño Gonzalez.
And we're the hosts of Mindset and Trading Podcast, where we bring guests who help us master our mindset and trading, inspire us to create financial freedom, and teach us how to compound our money as a day trader. And today on the podcast, we are very happy to have with us Jake Snedker. Welcome to the show, Jake.
Welcome, Jake.
Thank you very much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
Yes. So I'm super excited to have you here today. I know that, well, you've been somebody that I have been following also in my trading career. And so I also look up to you sort of as a mentor. And one of the reasons why you sort of piqued my interest into having you onto the show is because every time that I jump onto a call with you into one of our training sessions, you have so many nuggets of mindset to share with all of us that are so incredibly helpful. And so I just figured, wow, it's just such a perfect marriage of his value that he brings to the everyday, into the training sessions that we do, coupled with what we're bringing forward to all of the listeners here in our Mindset and Trading podcast. So thank you so much for being here. And so maybe we could just start off. If you could, I'm just curious to know, how did you get into trading, and sort of like, what is your story, and how did your story, lead you into trading?
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of indirectly, actually. It's a bit funny, but I'll start with the start. Being from Australia, Western Australia, I grew up in a pretty well-off family, got sent to a nice school, and got told the classic story of go to university, get a degree, get a good job, and your life will be set, blah, 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 blah. So here I was, 8 years of engineering, finished my degree, finally went into the industry. I did enjoy it, but after 6 months, I kind of was like, I don't think this is for me. So against my parents' advice, I turned down a 2-year contract at a very decent wage and packed my bags, got rid of everything I had, and set overseas to New Zealand. My biological father lived there, and we'd met only a handful of times, so I knocked on his doorstep and said, surprise, how long can I crash on your couch for? Luckily enough, he gave me a few months, 6 months in the end, and I bought a van, turned it into a tiny home, and traveled around, and that's where my real passion for traveling. I already had a bit of the travel bug, but that's where it really kicked off. So after that, I set my sights even bigger and higher, and I was like, I want to go to a bigger country and do this even better. So I went snowboarding in Canada, and realized that this travel lifestyle needs an income. It's hard to live off of bar money. So I looked online for like online income, and I looked around for lots of different places and found network marketing. And I really enjoyed that. I was useless at it, but I enjoyed it. Then when I went to Canada, the first network marketing company didn't go so well. Met someone on my travels who introduced me to IM, which is a network marketing company for trading, basically. So I got into it from a network marketing point of view, not really even knowing what trading was. I had no idea, to be perfectly honest with you, but fell in love with it. I saw the potential. And the reason that I wanted to find something to do online is because A, I love traveling, so I wanted to be location independent. But B, I always wanted to be able to be at home and watch my kids grow up. That's one thing that turned me off engineering, is having to go to the office 9 hours a day. So I fell in love with trading, was no good at it at the start, but stuck with it as I continued traveling. And luckily for me, I've been able to travel intensively for the last few years, 4 years, 5 years actually, while trying to learn this trade, and it's starting to pay dividends now, which is why I'm still doing it.
Nice. How long have you been trading?
So, good question. I got involved with the company that taught me to trade. It would have probably been 2018 in January, but I did it for 3 months and quit because I was like, this is woeful. This is impossible. This is a scam. Went off and tried to learn for YouTube University. And lost some money thanks to YouTube University. Didn't do that very well. So about 7 months later, tail between my legs, ego under my jumper, I came crawling back and tried to learn properly. And I did that again for a little while, but then money was an issue. So I went back to like a pub job while still traveling, and I just wasn't really concentrated until probably, I would say 2019, just before COVID hit. I kind of got into it a bit more, and then unfortunately lost my interest again, and missed the whole crash of the COVID crash. And then it wasn't until probably I was in Mexico that I really picked it up again and got serious about it. So that's been about a year and a half.
Mexico has that effect in people.
Time to get serious in Mexico, hey? It was those Coronas on the beach that made me realize I like this life and I got to make this trading thing work.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because I feel that is, it can be sort of something that people experience. I know I've experienced it for myself. Getting into trading, kind of dipping your toe in and looking around into it and then thinking like, I don't know, or maybe even feeling like that it's a quick thing to learn or pick up, right? Yeah. And then maybe if you're not seeing the successes right away, you're like, this isn't for me. But there's some sort of draw that keeps pulling you back in. What do you think that is with people, that they look into it maybe, or what do you think it was with you, that you felt that you were sort of intrigued, but then on the other hand, maybe apprehensive or thought that it wasn't for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was mid-20s, shiny object syndrome. I saw this opportunity to make fast money, jumped in, and I was like, yeah, cool. I'm not rich after 3 months. This is bullshit. I'm out of here. This kind of attitude towards it. And I was thinking, you grow up doing engineering, you think you do that to get a good paying job. And the max limit you get is 150K, maybe 250 if you're really good. And then you come into this trading world and you see people who have been in here for 6 months and they're earning $300,000, $400,000. And then you see more people who have got millions of dollars and they're earning, $10,000 a day. And there's some paradigm shift within you that has to shift so heavily to realize that this is true and not just some bullshit scam, which is what a lot of people see it as when they first hear about it. Luckily for me, I had a very open mind and I thought, okay, I've got to do some research on this. I feel like I'm getting scammed, but I'm still intrigued by the concept of this large sum of money for, like, the effort to reward is huge in this. Like, at the start, you have to put a lot of effort for little reward, but then you put very little effort for huge reward. And to understand that concept is extremely difficult for most people who grow up in the 9-to-5 get a job world. And so for me, I jumped in, tried, wasn't rich, left, but the intrigue was there that how are there so many people doing this? How is this a world that I haven't even been known about? I thought stocks were just something that really rich people talk about at my, boss level of my company. But then when I got introduced, it actually wasn't that scary and it wasn't that difficult and it wasn't that outrageous. And there's lots of people doing it. So there must be a real side to this and there must be a way to become one of those people who are earning $7,000 a second or whatever ridiculous amount that's out there, The intrigue was always there. And I was like, how do I go from me right now with the knowledge of life that I have, but $2 to my name, and how do I transition to stick through to become one of those 7, 8, 9-figure people that's got a life where money doesn't seem to be an issue?
So let's talk right there about that, because that's the nugget right there. Mm-hmm. How did you discover that paradigm shift? What was it that what were some of the things that actually helped you shift your mindset from, this? Because I feel like a lot of us are conditioned to that 9-to-5 lifestyle. But then we see that there's another way to live life. And then we're really curious about it. It's like, ooh, but I don't know if that's for me. No, I'm going to stick to what I know. So what is it within you or within people who are looking for this lifestyle and looking to be successful in this lifestyle? What are the things that need to shift in them, to really those paradigm shifts? Because that's the mindset piece right there that we're looking for, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the key, figuring out that paradigm shift. And if you can learn how to shift your paradigms, you can change the way you think about life in many different ways. But back to the original question, I suppose this will kind of tie in what was the paradigm shift or what was it that caused the paradigm shift in me? This ties back into the way I look at trading, in the sense is looking within, but trading as a whole on the charts, everything isn't about what's happening on the charts. It's about what's happening within you. And the better you become within, the better you'll become in life and on the charts. I often say that trading is like the best paid personal development program out there. Costs you a bit, but it'll pay you the most if you get good at it. But what changed in me is I looked at myself at this exact current point of time and I said, is sitting at an engineering office getting my wage the life I want to live? And if the answer is yes, then I'm going to put Wilkie Flame back and go. Or is this life of living in a school bus and visiting all these countries and surfing the life that I want to live? Well, the answer was clear. It was obviously the life of travel and fun. But the bridging gap to those two lives was, I am here with this ability to break out of this, but I don't have the ability to transition. I need some vehicle to get me to maintain this life that I've got. And there was a light in the tunnel of trading. It was like, that actually has a plausibility that if I can get good at this, I can continue this amazing life that I've got. I finished uni at 25. I'm now 30. In the last 5 years, I've been skydiving, traveling, everything you can think of that's fun. And the limiting factor was money. And trading, talking to people, seeing other people's success stories was that little light at the end of the tunnel where I was like, if I keep going down this path, it's actually plausible that I can continue this. And so for me, the question was, is what I have right now the life I want? Am I happy with that? And the answer was no, I wanted more. And so I had to do more and do things differently to even try. And I figured if I try this for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, the same as I spent at university, and I fail, and I end up with nothing, I'm still only going to be, early 30s, and I can go back to trying to do my engineering and try, but at least I've tried and I know that I've given it my best shot. So that's kind of why I stuck through.
I love it. That's so good. So many great things there. I really like that you mentioned that if you spent 8 years learning a trade, why not put that amount of time into something that can also give you the lifestyle that you're looking for, right? Mm-hmm. And it's that lifestyle, and you have this clear vision of what kind of life it is that you want to live, and visiting, traveling, traveling all over the world, living in a school bus, and sharing those adventures with people. I do want to get back to the mindset piece of it, though, because I want to go back to what you had mentioned when you said that trading is the best personal development program out there if you let it be, because it's something that it is an internal job versus, just going onto the charts. So this is the thing that I think I want to kind of pull out of you, because that's what I know that I've been experiencing. I just want to, if we can talk a little bit more about what that looks like, some of the internal shifts, or maybe some of the things that have shown up for you within your trading journey that you've had to sort of like look at and internalize and maybe clean up and tweak and to become a better person.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the reason why most people give up on trading is because it makes you face front on the harsh truths about your personality and who you are as a person. And if you can't handle that and deal with them and change them to a better version, then you're not going to be successful in the trading world, because it does. And it's kind of on a deeper level here. But if we step back a bit, I say this to a few people who are getting into trading. Trading technically is easy. You go on, you press a button, and it goes up or down, and you either make money or lose money. It's very simple. Anyone can do it. And anyone can come in and hit 7, 8 wins in a row and be like, yes, I'm making money. This is easy. But what happens when they lose their first trade? So say you've won 8 in a row and you lose. You either go, oh, that's just part of this. Okay. Or you go, oh, damn it. Why did I lose? I'm going to put in more. And you start to play with emotions there, because you're frustrated that you've lost, or you're upset that you've lost money, or you feel foolish because you did one extra trade and now you want to try and get that back. All these things come into play. And so the difference between being a trader and a long-term profitable trader is not the ability to press a button and trade. It's the ability to learn who you are and how to control your emotions and how to understand what you do as a person and how it affects your external environment, shall we say. Because there's certain things where you could be in a conversation with someone and they say the wrong thing, and you've got a choice in this point to either snap and yell and shout and overreact, or to understand that maybe it was a misconception and you can be calm and peaceful and respond to it in a humane way. The same thing happens on the charts. You make a really good trade and you go, yeah, and then you do something foolish. You have a choice then to go, oh, no, I'm going to make that back, and oh, no, and it just tumbles. Or you go, that was dumb. Let's move on. And so the more you progress down the journey of traveling, in my point of view, the deeper and deeper you go within, really. And I think there's a certain type of person that is successful at trading. There's a certain personality, emotional intelligence. There's a certain understanding of, not overreacting, not overcoming, like thinking probability based. There's a certain person who's good at trading. But we all come from different levels, and what you've got to do is just start tearing off those layers of, oh, I've got this greed, I've got this FOMO, I've got this frustration about me. I come in with emotion backed on my back to come and do my job. You shouldn't be bringing your emotions, your life, private life into work. It's the same with trading. If you come in here after just having an argument with your spouse, you're not going to trade well. That's just a fact. And I often say that the best way to improve on trading is to take 5-10 minutes after your trading session and go through each and every trade and look at your emotions on how they went. I mean, we're scalp traders, so we can have multiple trades. But if you say you're an intraday trader, a swing trader, how do you feel entering this trade? What are your emotions at this point? How did you feel 2 days into this trade when it was in drawdown? How did you feel when you were making lots of money? Where you're like, yes, I'm rich. We're going to the pub, boys, because I'm up on this trade. Or where you're just like, this is how it is. Because those two different personalities will really define whether you're going to be just someone who comes in here as a gambler or someone who makes this a professional, long-term, profitable thing.
So good. So good. So many great points there. Yes, those emotions and controlling those emotions. There's so much emotional intelligence that comes into play with trading. And I can purely relate into this. I was in a demo account learning, and I had some guests in town and they were watching politics on TV, and it was just this, and then they were like, oh, he's so, this person is so stupid and he's such an idiot. And there were all of these profanities they were yelling. And I was sitting there right in the same room trying to take some trades. And I lost, I don't even know how much percent of my account, probably 10 or 12% of my account, just within probably 30 minutes to an hour because there was and then but it was a great learning experience, right? Because after that experience, I was able to reflect and look at my actions and say, wow, this was really based off of emotions. This was based off of my frustration and feeling that energy coming toward me. And then I was reacting and putting it into the chart. So it definitely is. Trading does definitely show you. It shows you so much. It reveals so much from yourself that you didn't even know it would be doing, which is beautiful.
It was a trait of mine. I didn't even know I was doing those things.
Exactly.
It unravels them bit by bit.
It does.
Your personality.
Yes.
I think you were speaking to Leah about this, but I often suggest doing an emotional journal. That 20 minutes. I say the trader you become is made in the 20 minutes after each session, because it's the self-analysis, it's the self discovery of who you are and what you've done. And if you do it properly, you can go back and be like, what was I doing that trade? That doesn't even make sense. Clearly there was an exit there, an exit there, an exit there, but I was so emotionally attached to that I just couldn't see it, and I was blinded. And this often happens where you get blinded to the environment because you've got an attached bias to what's happening. And if you go back and analyze that, you'll be like, whoa, something about me, obviously in that moment I could not see, which is the case in many ways. Like, it's really hard to see what you're doing from an outsider's perspective in the moment. But if you take back and look at what you were doing in that moment, you learn a lot about you, as you're saying. And you can look at it and go, what was I thinking there? Like, that doesn't even make sense. And then you can start to pick apart those parts and go, why was I thinking that? Was it based on a subconscious paradigm that I have? Was it based on an earlier paradigm thought or, subconscious belief that I've got? Where are these coming from? And what are these behaviors that I've got? And the one thing that I think really made this shift for me, I don't know if you know Crypto Picasso. He's a great crypto trader, but he showed me the chart, the emotional chart of trading. And when you can really understand that what's happening on the charts is just a bunch of lines based on other people's emotions around the world doing other things. So the whole thing is run on emotions. And now you have to try and find probability in emotion, which is such a contradicting thing to do. Like, emotions and statistical probability are not, coinciding worlds, but you have to find a probability within the emotion of what's happening with a bunch of humans just from some lines and charts. So when you realize that it's all based on emotion, and you can start to dig within and go, how am I going to handle my emotion not to be infected by their emotion? Because if you know anything about energy and flows, you'll know that you can go into a room of angry people and very quickly you're going to turn angry. Or you can go into a room of happy laughing people and within 5 minutes you're laughing at a joke you didn't even really know what the point was, right? It's very infectious. But this can happen on the charts. Charts start moving and they go crazy because something's happened and everyone's emotionally charged with it. And you jump into that emotion and you lose just like everyone else does, or you win. But if you can go, okay, something's happened, everyone's losing their shit, I'm just going to sit back and sort of look at it from an outsider's perspective and try not to get drawn into it. That's going to differentiate you and make you the 1, 2, 3% of people that are not. Because unfortunately, with every trade that you win, someone else has to lose. It's just the ebbs and flow of money. And that's the hard reality of it. But I like to think that most of the time that I'm winning, the big banks are losing. So I take that one.
So in terms of the journal, could you describe to us like what exactly do you do? Like, do you literally have like a journal, or is it like, for some people might be like a process that they just do personally and they have the memory to come back to that, or do you physically?
I think I've got mine here actually.
Nice.
I think I don't have my new one, but it's basically literally a book next to my computer, just
Excellent.
like this.
Yeah.
And I will go in and I will try to, I mean, to a perfect level, it's written out like trade entry, and you do it kind of in real time. But as you know, as a scalpers, it's kind of hard when you've got a lot of stuff going. And when you first start, for me especially, I was over trading. So I'd be like, oh, don't have time to write in my journal because, I'll miss another trade or I'll miss an exit. And I do agree you have to manage it quite quickly. But once you've done one trade and it's closed, you can go back in and go, straight after that trade, how was I feeling before I entered that trade? How was I feeling during that trade? Was I like on edge waiting to close it? Or, was I just understanding and following my rules? Did I follow my rules? Did I follow my trading rules that I should have pinned next to my board? All these things. Was I upset at the moment? Was I distracted because it was going sideways? Was I playing on Facebook? All these little things that you can note down afterwards. And then, because realistically, you don't have to like rush into a next trade. There's going to be trades all through the day. So even giving yourself the time after each trade separates you from that like over trading sort of syndrome. And so you sit down, you're right, okay, before that trade, I knew it wasn't that best trade, but I wanted to jump in. Why did I want to jump in? Oh, because I haven't really had a trade and I'm greedy and I want money. There's a greed factor there, because really you didn't have to. You were just being greedy because it wasn't a good trade, but you did it anyway. How are you feeling during that trade? I knew it wasn't good, so I was kind of on edge and I wasn't following my real trailing stop loss or my risk management or my trade management systems. So straight away that that's not a trade you should be entering. And then you can go look at why, and the key aspects are probably greed, FOMO, or frustration. Like I'm frustrated at something in my life, so I'm going to take it out in a sort of gambling addictive sense. Like I'm not going to do this logically. I'm just going to fire away and hopefully make money and make me feel good. Or you're going to have the greed where you're like, I did well, but I want more. The FOMO where you're sitting there all day and you miss the one trade, and so you rush into another one. All these things you write down, and at the end of the week you look back and you can go, okay, clearly I had frustration all through the week. Okay, like I can tell that I had a good week. This next week I was greedy. Like I hit my daily percent, but I kept on trading. I got 3% up and now I ended up losing by 4%. What the hell are you thinking? You look at it from a different frame of mind and you're like, Jake, you clearly agree. You're a greedy person. And I like to think that I'm not. I like to think that I'm really generous and I give to everyone and I share all my stuff. But trading taught me that there's some part of me that's still very greedy, and there's some part of me that wants money, and there's that FOMO, and that I should then go back and maybe find some gratitude and some belief in abundance and some meditation and all positive affirmations as two things against what this FOMO or this greed is that's within me. Because if I'm not thinking about it on a conscious level, but I'm still doing it, and there's probably some subconscious aspect of it within me that I need to dig deeper to find so I can have that paradigm shift to change it. Because we can consciously want to change it, but realistically, until we dig deep to the source and why we've got that, we're not going to shift it. We'll just be aware of it, which is also okay. But I think you need to learn to shift it for it to really be gone.
And those are the things, this is so good, Jake. Thank you so much. Those are the things, yes, meditation, affirmations, the journaling, the belief in abundance, having those shifts of our mindset. Some of the other things that I feel that trading does and can do is show you, do you have a lack of abundance? Do you have what is your belief system around finances, that it's easy to come by? Once you get it, is it easy to hold on to, or do you lose it? And so it shows you a lot of those things within your, on the charts, how it's accumulating within you in that setting, but then also in your life. And so, yes, when it comes down to it, it's all energy. Mm-hmm. And so when we're able to shift that energy energetically within us, it's going to shift in our exterior as well. And just as you're saying, so it's like really digging deep into that subconscious level, uncovering it, what is truly here at the depths, because we can think consciously that things are a certain way, but when we dig deeper, within, and trading will reveal that to you in such a beautiful way.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
And this is why I say it's, the best personal development, because if you're willing to dive deep, if you're willing to go further within, then you will get the rewards. But if you get to a certain level and you go, nah, not willing to uncover that, not willing to unravel that, this is bullshit, I'm out of here, you're not going to make those next steps. And so sometimes it takes someone 6 months because they don't have too much to dive deep in. But some people, and when you meet travelers, you realize travelers are travelers because they've been through shit most of the time. They want an escape. They like to go explore. And so some people have more to dive deep through and more to dig around and more to clear out. And it doesn't mean that I should expect to be a successful trader in 5 months because someone else did it. I should expect to be a successful trader once I've dug through all my shit and I know the kind of person that I want to be and that I'm clear of who I am. And for some people, that might take 10 years. But is the paycheck at the end, you see these successful traders who literally have no worry of money because they've got a skill set, they can go on, they can make the money, compound it, and they're millionaires. So is the paycheck at the end worth diving through all your shit that you've got to get through? And my answer is yes.
Yes. And more than that, the paycheck, yes. But more than that, it's that peace, it's that happiness, that discovery of yourself, elevating yourself. And then for me anyway, it's sharing that with others, and it's teaching others, and helping raise other people up along the way. So exactly. Yeah, so I'm all about it.
Yeah, well, lots of people from an outside look at traders like, oh yeah, they just sit on the computer, they make all this money, and that's the kind of person they are. But this is what I said before, like trading, there's a whole thing to it. It's not just I sit on the charts and I make money. It's a lifestyle, and the further you get into it, the more you realize that the higher up traders, that they're that way because they've learned to meditate, because they've learned to dig within, because they read personal development books, because they look after their health and everything else. You find that the person you need to become to be a successful trader has a bunch of, relatable qualities. And it's not the same for everyone, but there is a resemblance between, meditating, self-care, good health, good diet, and all that sort of stuff. And I often hear people say that, the person you are today is not going to be the person you are. Like the person you are today is not going to be the person that's a successful trader, because if it is, you'd already be a successful trader. So you have to make those personal changes to become that person who's going to be good at this. And that involves trying things new, trying meditating, go for a jog in the morning. You might hate jogging. And in fact, I love sport, but I hated being solo exercising. But when I started traveling, I was like, this beer's got to go somewhere, so I better start. And I've fallen in love with it. And it clears the mind. And there's so many other aspects that fall in place as you develop as a person to become this successful trader that you kind of want to be.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So where do you feel, so if we were to say, like, from when you first started your journey in trading and where you are now, what are some of your successes, like from where you are now? What are some of the successes that you've seen have happened within your trading journey that you'd like to share?
Well, I mean, the biggest one, I suppose, would be obvious to you, but not many people listening, is that I now have 50 people that listen to what I say really intently. And to me, that's an absolute honor. I came into this just trying to make a quick buck, to be perfectly honest. That I just wanted to get rich quick. And I found a lot of people who had a lot of the same outlooks of life, a lot of the same mindset, a lot of the same development and goals. And it's become a community. And then through that, I got opportunities to help other people and help teach other people. And now, like I said, I get an opportunity to have 50 people trust me with their finances in some aspect because they're listening to what I say, and it's all based around that. And so for me, I love helping people, and I love sharing my story, and I love doing everything I can to lift others up. And to have that opportunity, honestly, every time I get on a call, I'm humbled.
Yes.
And every time I get feedback, I'm really, really humbled, and it's an amazing aspect. But more at a personal level, I mean, I've got routine. I don't know what you were like, Toño, but in university, I had no routine. I would have a class, I'd skip a class, I'd go to the pub, I'd go away on the weekend, exam would be, so I'd spend 4 days cramming that and not sleep. Like there was nothing. And then traveling is pretty similar. It's not much of a similarity, but with trading, there's certain times of the day that are best for trading. And so it's given me a routine, which has been a big aspect to my life. but also I've had a 5-week-old kid, and I get to sit here every morning, and that's my job.
Congratulations, by the way.
Congratulations.
The whole goal for me was to find something where I could be at home and watch my kids grow up, and now I've got one. His little Kaleo is 5.5 weeks old, and I've been here every day still working, and he cries, I get up and go and hang out with him. It's amazing. It's not like I have to sit on calls either. Like, I enter a trade and I've got my limits set and stuff like that, and if he kicks off, I can either close it and just go be with him, or I just let it do its thing because it's already set. And the whole goal for me was to be at home and watch my kids grow, and I'm doing that. And so that's the biggest success.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Love that. Thank you so much.
Goal. Thank you.
And then what do you, let's just dream a little bit, right? So
my favorite thing to do. I visualize a lot. So back on the
good.
Visualizing, 10-15 minutes of visualizing is the technical way of saying I daydream like shit. So
nice.
It's really important.
Nice. Very fantastic. So could you share some of your deepest dreams and aspirations, some of the things that you visualize about, and how do you see trading as a vehicle to achieve some of your life goals and dreams?
Yeah, for sure. So funnily enough, I actually wanted to do some retreats. My goal when I was in Mexico, I was like, I'm going to create some trading retreats and teach people how to trade, and give people an insight to the life of what it's like. And this was in April of last year. And then I jumped on Teresa's calls in July, and been with her for over a year now. And lo and behold, she's run the exact same thing that I wanted to do, and she's doing it beautifully. And I wish I could make it to one. But for me now, my partner makes jewelry, Cyril Loma, so selfless plug. She's a jewelry artist. Go check her out on Instagram. She makes macrame jewelry. And what we would like to do is have like a creative cafe, and where people can come and learn and be in a multicultural community and do jewelry and give workshops and have a little cafe for open mics. I love music, so something like that, a big kind of open space area with tidbits for artists to come and present and stuff like that. But on a bigger scale, my dream goal is actually to start a carbon negative tiny home company, to create carbon negative tiny homes out of shipping containers. I've done a van, a couple of 4-wheel drives, and a school bus. But I want to do that bigger, and I want people that but school bus was pretty much completely off grid, and waste management systems were pretty much super tight. So there's very little managed waste, and I'd like to create tiny homes, with all the bits and pieces of a fancy home. So people have their luxuries, but shrunk down, and show people that you can actually live without affecting the planet, and we can give back to the planet and make carbon emissions null and void almost, because two biggest areas of carbon emissions are pretty much agriculture and our housing. So why not impact one of those? And yeah, I will ideally want to have, I've got on my dream board here, I'll give you, this is my little dream card that I've got on my phone and all around my house. This was before we got engaged.
Could you describe that for the people that are listening in the podcast?
Of course. So what I've got in my hand is basically an A4 bit of paper, and I put together about 6 different images on here, and I've set that for my display picture as my phone, and I've got it around my house and throughout for different places, so I'm constantly seeing it based on the visualization that we were discussing before. So in the top left corner, you probably won't see this on the podcast, but I'm wearing a cow suit. It's just a fake. For all those vegetarians and vegans out there, it's not real. It's just a fake fur, ridiculously looking, with the label of Chairman 250, which is one of the top ranks in our network marketing business. And I plan to get there one day. Next to that, I have a picture of my mum holding me as a baby, which ironically, I have the exact same one of my mum holding my son, which looks exactly the same. But on top of that says retired. So I plan on retiring my mum. Then I have a license over a plane, because I want to get my pilot's license. Below that, I have me and my partner kissing, because originally I wanted to make a family with her, and that has now been ticked off. We're engaged with a child. Next to that, I have a map of the world with a flight path from Germany to Australia, because I would like to have the finances to freely fly in between so we can both see our families. And above that, I have a shipping container home times 10. So originally, I'd like to have 10 of my own around the world and rent them out as an Airbnb so that people can experience the lifestyle of carbon negative home and waste management without actually having to go full in, and have a few around the world so they can go see them. And if they like that, they can eventually I'll start a business making one. So that's kind of my goals, and they're all here, and they have been for the last year, and I'm slowly ticking them off. So
Nice.
yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Those are
Well, thank you.
amazing.
And if anyone's in the carbon negative tiny home business and I'm not aware that it's existing, so please get hold of me or back off my idea. No, I'd love to get involved. I mean, I was listening to a guy named Alex Hamosi. I don't know if I think it's Hamosi. He's on YouTube. He's an amazing salesperson. He owns a bunch of gyms. He's a very wealthy young man. And he was saying a quote, I can't remember who did the original quote, this is where I heard it. He said, if you can wait a year without results, you could probably be wealthy enough for 6 figures. If you can do a decade without seeing your results, you probably have wealth that will last a generation. If you can do a lifetime without seeing results, you'll probably be able to change the world.
Mm.
Wow.
And so for me,
I have chills.
I want to work. Yeah, it hit me hard too. And so for me, I would like to use trading to get to a lifestyle that I want. And then once finances are not so much an issue, create a business based around, the tiny home aspect, which I love, and carbon emissions back into the ground, and hopefully get it started that it eventually will take over and change the planet. Something that I can start and hopefully have it take off to other people. So that's kind of
Amazing.
one of my big goals there.
I would love to have you come to Bend, Oregon, and build one in my backyard. I
would love to.
If
you got the finances, let's do it.
To Mexico.
Yeah. I'm going to put that on my trading, my visualization for trading.
You get the money and we'll make it happen.
I have the chance now to live in the Cancun area, Riviera Maya, and there's like the jungle, and it makes me think a lot about the sustainability, and hopefully that one day a lot of this area it also could be like a protected area, and then having projects like this and initiatives, and then people joining to protect the land and not just expanding and unnecessarily destroying everything,
This is the thing. I mean, back in the day, your home was kind of your prize piece. Traveling wasn't as big. It was the industrial era, and people would have these big mansions to show off kind of what they did in life and how they were successful. But these days, it's kind of starting to do the opposite. And I think we need to really make that whole shift in a society to understand that things are different. People would prefer to travel the world and spend their money that way and have a tiny little sanctuary that they can come home and call. Everyone wants to have a home they can call home. So why not make it better for the environment, make it carbon negative, still have your luxuries, and spend that extra money traveling the world. I mean, these things can go up in probably a third of the time that a full house can. They can have little to no waste. And I won't go into too much detail, but, they can be much smaller and still allow you to have the luxuries as well as use your money to travel and see the world. And once people start to shift their perspective into realizing that these big mansions of brick and mortar aren't really that necessary, and that the small tiny homes are, just as luxurious and just as comfortable, then hopefully we can start to transition and lose some of the big area space taking homes that take away our bushes and replace them with small little boxes that are comfortable and joyous.
I love it. It's so good. Thank you so much for sharing all of your vision. It's great. And I think for everyone listening, it's something that, hopefully you all listening feel inspired as well to dream, and to really, again, we're here, we have one life on this planet at this moment in time. And so to really go for it and have those big dreams and make those paradigm shifts, do the work that we need to do internally so that we can truly believe in ourselves and our abilities, develop the skills, and then make these things happen. And it's so fun, right? It's so fun when we dream and then we reach those dreams. Like you've got your visions and you're starting to tick them off. They're lovely, by the way. And congrats again on your family that you're building and this lifestyle that is coming into your being, and it's just extremely exciting. Is there anything else for anyone that's listening that you would like to add in regards to trading, in regards to living this lifestyle, in regards to helping them believe in themselves?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, just quickly to finish that off, I mean, if you think you've got big dreams, great, but dream bigger. If you aim for the end of the street and get there, you'll be proud that you're there. But if you aim for the stars and fall short, you're going to be somewhere magical in between, so much further than you could have even thought you could have gotten. So, don't be afraid to dream. Just because your neighbors think you're crazy to do what you think you're going to do doesn't mean it's the wrong thing to do. You have to be a little bit crazy to change a crazy amount of people's lives. So don't be fearful of what others say or do or, think about you, because that's just going to limit anything that you're capable of. Dream big and then dream bigger again, and enjoy the process of getting there. Enjoy failing. Fall in love with failing and fail further each time. If you can do that, that's what I mean. In trading especially, I have failed so many times, and I don't even know how many dollars I've lost. But I know that that's nothing in comparison to the stuff that I've learned. I think if I took the money that I've lost in trading and put that into personal development courses and stuff, I probably wouldn't be as far developed, and I'd probably have spent more. And
it's a great way to look at it.
And the outcome, I've never found anything with more potential financial outcome than what I'm doing. And I'm definitely far in my journey to becoming that successful trader. And that's because I dreamed bigger than any of my friends or neighbors were willing to. And now I've got this life that most of my friends and neighbors do not have. And I'm super happy with it.
So great. Thank you so much, Jake.
You're very welcome.
Been such a pleasure having you on the show today.
It's been fantastic. I've enjoyed every second. And back to what I was saying about trading, going back and reevaluating. I'll be going back and listening to this to reevaluate some of the stuff I've said, because I might see it in a different frame of mind and may catch nuggets for myself that I didn't even know. So,
absolutely. And I think too, just to sum it up, some of the things that you mentioned that have been working for you, that 20 minutes directly after your trading session or directly after each trade to journal and to reflect on your emotions, to reflect on how you were feeling during the trade, exiting the trade,
just to clarify that, I'll actually try to write them after the trade and then spend 20 minutes again after the session looking back and reading through them all. And if I haven't written them all down, I'll still write them down, but then spend that 20 minutes evaluating what I wrote down and looking at it and learning for myself as well. So,
and it's those things. Yeah. Thank you so much. I think it's those things, those extra additional things that, when we take the time to go one step further in, it's really, I think trading is definitely, it's not a tip your toe in. It is we're going to jump all in. We're going to dive all in. Yep. We're going to be consistent. We're going to be disciplined. We're going to follow our rules. We're going to write down our, in our journal. We're going to meditate. We're going to go deep within. So it's definitely something that if you are interested in trading, be prepared to, my suggestion would be, yes, look into it and see if this is something that you feel is a journey that you want to be on. But then once you decide to go in, the further that you can commit to going all in, the sooner that those rewards are going to come.
It seems that the trading process is not, with what you're saying, is not ended once you finish that part, because the full process is when we do that self-evaluation. So I had the opportunity, I'm a musician, I had the opportunity to go around the world and do concerts, and we need to plan to get to the place, set up, do the show, and strike. It's not that you just finish the show and then you go. It's like you have to take all the equipment down and put it back in the truck until everything is in the truck and you close the truck. Then that it's ended. The other part is that you mentioned is the routine. That aspect is like, well, you mentioned a bunch of nuggets that I wrote down, but it's like that aspect that it brings us back to consistency. That we train our body to go into a certain mode to do some things, and knowing that those things are going to reward us in the long term. And I think that's pretty cool. So you mentioned that one of your goals is to do retreats. So this podcast is actually very one of our goals is to promote the retreat that is coming here in October. But Jen, if you just mention real quick what the retreat is, and
absolutely, we have our mindset and trading retreat starting October 10th. So it is going to be October 10th through the 14th in Tulum, Mexico. We also have a subsequent retreat starting on the 16th of October through the 20th, also in Tulum, Mexico. And so we will be there with our trading educator, Teresa Guthrie, myself, holistic health coach Jenni Trumpa. We have Toño Gonzalez, who is also going to be our running workshops and helping us with affirmations and all of the great coordination between our Mexican staff and transportation and all the things. So we have a really great crew here in Mexico. So some of the best things that we've seen that people have come out with this trading retreat is that they actually do improve their overall trading skills. We have an opportunity to meet one another in person, so we're developing that community even tighter. As Jake mentioned, we do jump on calls in the mornings with one another, and we look at the markets and we study the markets together. And so Jake is there, also Teresa is there also to help us fine-tune our trading skills, help us know what to look for. But there's something magical that happens within an in-person retreat or an in-person training session, and that's that we can see one another's body language. We can read one another a little bit differently than we could if we were, on a Zoom together. And again, just having that ability to talk with your neighbor about how to set up a chart or what to look at, or, all of the little things about the charts that you may not know. It's a great time to ask questions. And then aside from that, we have delicious, wholesome, nutritious local food prepared by our local staff. We're taking excursions out throughout the day. So we're going to be jumping in cenotes, freshwater swimming holes, going to the beach, having, a margarita on the beach with our trading community. And so it's just a great time to really bond with one another and spend time with one another throughout those days. So if you are interested in coming to the retreat, there is still time to join. We still have space, and I will put the link into the comment section or the description section. But the link is Jenni Trumpa, JenniTrumpa.net/PipCatchersRetreat. And there you can find all of the information, as well as we're going to have other retreats in the future. So stick around. Yeah. Exactly. Or Europe, or who knows where there will be.
That will be very cool.
Europe would be good too.
Yeah. So we just thank you again, Jake, for coming in. Thank you so much, Toño, as well, for being here. I hope that all of you listening have had an amazing time. You feel inspired by what we've been able to share today. We invite you to subscribe and share this content with at least one other person who would also like to compound their wealth, become financially free, and live a life they love by design. Have a great day, everyone.
Can I just leave with one thing?
Yes, of
course.
Not too late. So often people will tell you that trading's easy, but the truth is it's not. People do fail. The thing is, to become the top part, you got to do the things that people are not doing. So to become the successful trader that's in the top 20%, you got to be doing the things that that 20, 70, 80% of other people aren't doing. So if you're listening to this podcast and you hear someone say, go make an emotional journal or go do a visualization board or something like that, and you just let it pass, then you're not going to get yourself to that top 20%. Do the things. When you hear people talking, when you hear motivators or when you hear people who are successful tell you to do things, go and do them. Doing the things that others aren't doing is exactly what's going to get you above the people who aren't doing them. And so, if you're listening to it, pause it, listen, go get yourself an emotional journal, go write up your chart, do something, but take action on the things. Don't just listen to you can listen to podcasts all day, but if you don't take any of the advice and then actually do it, it's not going to help.
Totally.
Still have to finish on.
Jake, thank you so much. Where can people find you?
So I'm on all social media, but my name's a little bit different. It's Jacoby Snedker. I might have to get you to type that into the comments, but I'm on Instagram. I'm on Instagram as the Successful Hippie. You can find me there. And I will be starting up another Facebook page as the Successful Hippie. And I have links to my personal Facebook page, which is my most common. I'll be looking to launch all that back up, and feel free to message me with any questions, queries, or things. And I do have a podcast of my own on Spotify called The Success Shift. So go check that out. It's brand new. I'm still learning. Maybe I'll take some advice from these guys and hopefully grow my show alongside them.
Thank you so much, Jake. You're already living the life of your dreams. Congratulations for your kid. And yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. It definitely is going to inspire a lot of people. And
it's been an absolute pleasure. Really appreciate it.
And thanks everybody for listening.
Thanks, you guys.